Can we talk about AI? We've already been talking about AI. So let's go. Let's get this guy's opinion.
AI is harmful to working artists and a threat to a majority of modern jobs. We don't need AI.
Yes.
We never have. And this race to replace everything with AI is a race to the top for a very few and a drop to the bottom for everyone else. AI creates a path for a whole new plethora of people to engage in creativity and innovation. It democratizes creativity to an unprecedented level. AI
Oh my god, I love that. I absolutely loved I loved that idea.
Trained on stolen data and profited on by corporations who didn't do any of the work to create or even procure the data in the first place. If training AI is stealing, when it's just learning from things that we've created, then human artists are also stealing when they look at hundreds of artworks that inspire them and learn from that and apply.
No. No. I don't agree with that. Dating AI? Wait! Kitsuya, I seen you say that in the Discord and I meant to ask for clarification because what the heck? What do you mean you're a father? What do you mean?
Apply those techniques to their own style. Art itself is learning from and producing inspired by everything that's been created before. So just because AI learns in the same way a million times more efficiently, better, faster than human artists doesn't make it stealing. It's being developed on our backs without our permission and then used to take opportunities away from us. AI art holds as much value as NFTs did. Do you remember that bullshit? Remember the controversy that arose when people realized how much energy NFTs took and how bad it was for the environment? AI is worse, consumes way more power, is growing way faster. They don't even know how they're going to be able to generate enough power to get the AI capabilities they want. But they're going to do it, charging forward at an unprecedented rate in a way that's going to have devastating and irreversible effects on the environment, let alone the devastating economic impacts of taking away people's jobs and leaving them no alternative. Yes, it'll use a lot of energy, but AI will lead to AGI and ASI, which will bring us new sustainable energy solutions, cure diseases at an unprecedented level, and help solve the climate crisis once and for all. Yes, in the near term, AI is going to replace jobs and take some opportunities away. In the same way that cars and trains were a threat to the horse and carriage industry, and the camera is a threat to painters. But new jobs and avenues for creative expression and leisure will become available. If you think AI art is bad, AI video generation.
The NFT bros moved on to become AI bros. I think AI has a lot of good potential. Just like the internet being born did. It just needs to be regulated properly.
Is going to be even worse. Video evidence will no longer be admissible in court because anything can be fabricated. People can make pornography of others without their consent. And of course, dead celebrities will continue to be profitable for media conglomerates who can
See, no. That would be a regulation where, no, we don't do that. We do not do that.
Continue to use their image and voices long after they're gone. On top of that, AI developers have no clue how to properly safeguard AI against misuse and barely have an idea even how it works, let alone how to control it. AI is just a path for corporations to get more investments and boost their stock value with shallow marketing gimmicks. Meanwhile, we can all see the purposeless dystopia that this is leading us to. It's the next step of progress for humanity. AI is already empowering small businesses and individual creatives to compete at a scale and in a way they never had the opportunities to before. AI is the most groundbreaking technological revolution ever since electricity or the steam engine. And the potential for AI to empower humanity and help solve our most challenging problems is unfathomable. If anything, AI will lead to more people in the long term being able to indulge in creativity because it'll lead to a post-scarcity society. A society where you don't need to figure out how to pay your bills with art, you can just make art. And people who haven't been able to be a part of that in the past will have more opportunities in the future than they have ever had before. I get it. You're sick to death of hearing about AI. But we need to talk about AI.
Yes.
The question
Yes, I agree. Nobody likes to talk about it, but it does need to be talked about.
Is, can we? Is it even possible? Because the hardest part about having a conversation about something so divisive is listening. The purpose of this video is not to argue for or against either of these lines of argument, but it's also not intended to just be a fence-sitting exercise. I want to be productive, but it's going to be difficult because they both have legitimate points. Neither is completely right, neither is completely wrong. And it's going to be impossible for us to have any sort of reasonable conclusions or rational discussions unless we step back from the black and white of the argument and dwell in the uncomfortable grey. I want to share my opinions and experience, though it's limited, but also use this video as a catalyst to open up to yours so I can listen to you. So we can all listen to each other, but have the opportunity to have an actual conversation about all this. So I guess I've always considered myself as something of a creativity futurist. I have loved being at the forefront of where technology and creativity intersect. From the age of 11 in 2001, I was at the forefront of digital content creation and online platforms that had just begun. I have wholeheartedly jumped into the fray of every emerging creative technology that I've had access to, from the dawn of digital art and digital tablets to the first ever digital animation and art programs, and later to virtual reality, drawing robots, and as early as it began emerging, I was enthralled with the concept of AI art, which you can see the history of on this channel. I made a video 7 years ago using Google Auto Draw and Quick Draw, which were algorithms made to reinterpret shapes drawn by the users into basically clip art, and it didn't work very well, but it was a start. Does Google have a replacement for Bob Ross? They give me the Eiffel Tower. I feel like we're very quickly discovering the limitations of this tool. This is pretty bad, Spider-Man. Did I mean clarinet? Oh
my God.
I give up. And over the following...
Like, that feels different, though, than stuff that I see in the VTuber community. This kind of art generation where you're... I don't know, where it's kind of like a paint thing, it feels different from what we see in the VTuber community.
I give up. And over the following years, there were plenty of gimmicky AI tech demos, basically, that I made entertaining content around and enjoyed playing with. And that's all it was, a toy. And an idea, pretty badly presented one at that time. It was always fun, it was a bit goofy.
What the
but
hell?
There was genuine potential there that I found really exciting, and you guys did too, until it got scary. When DALL-E 2 emerged, I was all in. I was making videos at every opportunity, getting early access, and making all sorts of concepts playing with AI art. But as time went on, it became pretty apparent that there was controversy brewing as people became more educated on how these models were trained, and quickly the criticisms around the ethics of AI art and generative AI arose. Art communities began to speak out against the way these models were trained and the harmful effects on real artists and real opportunity for an already undervalued and challenging career path. And as a prominent art content creator, it was pretty clear that there was a line in the sand being drawn that you were either on one side or the other of.
Now, if you're taking your own art and uploading it to an AI art generator, okay, that's fine. You're choosing to do that, and then you're choosing to generate art from your own art, whatever, that's fine. But if you're taking art that's just all over Google, that, you know, some of it's probably trying to be sold, and you're just copy pasting it into your thing, and you're taking it from all these people, that's stealing. You're stealing it. Especially if it's art that is posted for the intent of trying to sell it. I don't want AI stealing it to train their AI. Yeah, it's different if you're mass collecting art from Google, as I said, from people who are trying to sell it, and even from people who are not selling it, you know, but it's still without their consent. That's a no-no. If you're an artist yourself, though, and you're uploading your own art to AI generators, that's fine because you're doing it yourself. or if you're giving people permission, that's also fine because at least it has your permission and stuff. But like, don't steal art.
So I realized I needed to step back from making AI related content until I could figure out what my opinions were and understand more about everything going on.
Yeah.
I guess I've been waiting for an
Like
opportunity.
at first, I get where he's coming from. Like at first, it first came out and you're really excited and oh wow, this is awesome. So I get that. I understand that.
Opportunity to step back into the mix with clearer opinions, clearer ideas as to where I stand and what my thoughts on all this are. It's almost been 2 years since I stepped back from AI touching my content. I guess while I've been waiting for the conversation to be easier to have, or the ferocity of both sides of the argument to calm a little, well, it's only gotten more confusing and more divisive. And more controversy have happened. And yet AI is more present than ever. It's only growing faster and it's becoming more ubiquitous. It's in our workplaces,
it's not
our
going
content
anywhere.
feeds, our marketing, our products. And of course, companies are seeing the opportunities and only getting more greedy and cunning in how they try and get their sticky little hands on all the hard work we produce to train their models on. So at this stage, I really can't see things getting calmer or simpler anytime soon. So I've basically steered away from making any definitive statements or sharing any opinions for or against AI art. There are things I detest and disagree with or are fearful of. I've been scammed by AI art. I, for $99, purchased something that was advertised to me, purported to be tutorial books by skilled artists that turned out to be AI-generated crap that I could learn nothing from, and was trained on really good artists that I should have been able to give my money to, but they weren't what was advertised to me, and I fell for it. And I'm sick to death of seeing lazy AI generated crap in all of my content feeds. So
everywhere.
on the one hand, I am against AI art. But on the other hand, I am about to share some of the ways in which I use AI art. And for those of you who disagree with AI art in general, keep in mind the point of this video is to see if we can have a reasonable, rational conversation about it without vilifying or jumping to conclusions, being willing to see other people's perspective. Yes. So,
have an open mind. Please have an open mind.
Without any further ado, here's how I use AI art. Now, I'm an artist who's always been in the habit of using technology to empower my art, and with AI, I've used it as part of my early processes, my brainstorming and conceptualization, and as a means to expand the scope of the work that I create with artists I employ. For example, I've been developing a roleplay system called Gateway Roleplay, very much a personal project at the start. I plan to turn it into a product, but in the early conceptualization phases, I've been using AI to create card art. There's more been a proof of concept and a way for me to get inspired by the ideas, not a product in and of itself. In fact, we recently released the alpha to the patrons over on Tabletop Time Roleplay and replaced all of the art with our art produced by Alicia. There's nothing new or fancy with all the different cards. They're basically just put into a category that they share the art for. You can sort of see how AI was part of that initial process of getting the ball rolling and making something feel real. Speaking of Alicia, those of you who follow this channel know that she's
there's nothing wrong with that. You're just using it as a reference to kind of give everyone an idea of what you want to create. So it's just a reference. You're not monetized. You're not like making money off of that yet. It's just, oh, hey, this is what we want to create. So we want to see if people are interested in this. And then you hire artists to make all the art and stuff. I think using AI to make references is fine as long as it isn't being used as the final product. Exactly. You're using it as a reference to see if everyone would be interested. You get that confirmation of interest, and then you spend the money to hire artists to make all the art that you want. Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Because you could potentially spend money on artists to make art, and then nobody wants it. So now you're out of all that money. So yeah, that's a fine way to use it.
artist who's worked with us for over 3 years, well before this AI stuff kicked up. And Alicia works more for us now than she did even when she started. So AI hasn't done anything to reduce her workload. If anything, we've found it's given her more opportunities. Take, for example, the opening animatic to our recently launched roleplay series, Lucha, which wasn't going to be a thing we would have made unless we had AI's help. The very early prototypes of the animatic were pretty much solely scrapped together AI art, purely because all of the effort and work needed to go into the motion and the transitions, and it gave us something to really anchor to in the creative process. The process then turned into one of creating the art all the way from scratch, but of course using some of those anchor points as a foundational element. The final animatic is 100% painted by Alicia, but of course it's clear to see that she used and benefited from AI in the process. And
again, as a reference though.
Used and benefited AI in the process of expanding the scope of something that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford to do, at least nowhere near the scale that we were able to. AI basically allowed us to 10x the scope of what we could have done as an animated intro without 10xing Alicia's time, which frankly, like, I don't have 10x the budget for the intro. We just got 10x the result because we used AI as part of the initial workflow. A lot of these examples are actually from my roleplay channel because it's my lowest budget channel. It's the channel that I've always skimped and saved on. Before AI, our roleplay backgrounds were, well, they were stolen. They were Google images that are flipped and blurred beyond recognition because we don't have the budget to, like, all of our budget goes into Alicia, our artist, creating the character portraits, and has always done. Now we use AI to create a lot of the background environments for our role-playing games because we don't have the budget to go beyond that, beyond the character art that Alicia very wonderfully creates. I mean, look at that. Basically, the AI environments are just a garnish and background flourish to the true performer in the art, which is Alicia's stunning character painting. But in the sake of full confession, something like our Tabletop Time roleplay Christmas special was entirely AI art. The frame, the characters, and the environments were all produced with AI because there was no budget, there was no time. It was a one-off special, and I wanted to do a Christmas special, and I did it in my spare time, and a lot of it was done at about 5 in the morning because that's the only time I have time to do anything for me. It was a personal expression. It's put on the Tabletop Time channel. Yes, it's monetized, but we don't make any money from it. But my point is, without AI, it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had the budget to have the Christmas special art be put together by Alicia because I was already paying her to do the art for our main campaign.
Gray area.
I'm sharing this purely for the sake of transparency because I can't throw stones or accuse any side without just being upfront and honest about the real situations in which AI is beneficial to fledgling studios and independent artists. I am not an enemy of art. I am obsessed with creating and sharing. And I do everything I can to create opportunities for creative people. Does that make me a hypocrite because in some small ways I've used AI art in some small productions?
Honestly, like, I still can't, like, I can't be mad at that, to be honest. It's a background. I can't be mad at that personally.
Maybe. Let's talk about it. I mean, that is the point of this video.
He's paying an artist. I mean, he literally doesn't have the budget for that background that he needed because he was giving all his money to an artist. So, like, I don't know. How can you get mad and, like, cancel, unfollow, unsub, and whatever? I don't know.
Want to talk about it. Maybe my position would change. Maybe with some more education, I would undo that or do things differently. But maybe people who disagree with it might see the reasons for it. So while I'm in the mood to confess, I want to be real with you about my whole art journey. I've technically been stealing ever since I started creating. I have drawings here that I made when I was 10 years old. This was one of my original characters, a super villain alien.
That looks
Remind you
cool.
of any short, high-pitched, Kakarot-hating villains? And then at age 11, we have my original character, Pyro, which may have been basically directly copying from a Deadpool picture.
No.
I saw in a comic. I was just a kid,
No.
inspired by stuff. Wasn't monetizing it, of course, so that's fine. But then carry that on to digital creation. My early Flash animations used Linkin Park and Dragon Ball Z music, and I didn't give any royalties to Linkin Park. I did buy all their albums though, and listened to them in the shower as I cried. But honestly, the illegitimate use of copyrighted material has kind of become a meme in YouTube videos. Watermarked images that obviously haven't been purchased being used in videos, stock video that obviously hasn't been licensed, outright using footage from other videos, whether you're creating a video essay or just referencing another channel, you're technically monetizing someone else's work that you're incorporating into your own. Obviously there's fair use and all that other stuff, but there is a grey line. Someone else produced the work, you're just recycling. This practice has existed as long as creativity has. It's literally the definition of a meme. So I kind of have used AI in a similar way, not as a core of a production and not even in anything I put out in a monetized way, but as a garnish or a momentum builder, a conceptualization process to my work. And honestly, I don't believe I or anyone else who uses AI should be berated for doing so, but I feel uncomfortable with seeing AI being used as anything more than a supplement to creativity. Tool. And I hate seeing the gross way AI is being monetized, proliferated, trained, and celebrated by some as an outright replacement for developing a craft.
Yeah, no, all of that is just disgusting. Like, there's people who are generating AI and just making that their whole way that they make money now. They just generate huge amount of AI art and sell it. Like, no. That's disgusting. Generally, you know, people need to make a living. I get it. But like, no. Don't do it that way, at least.
And I hate the way that this challenges people's rights to own and control their own creative output. I haven't spoken about my stance on AI for almost 2 years now. This is the first time I've done it in any sort of open way, and it's really uncomfortable. I don't know how to do this, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything in particular. I recorded this video 5 months ago, and it's just sat unchanged since. Partially because it feels very inconclusive, like I'm not really contributing anything concrete, but I also feel like I can't. On top of that, I can't help but see people who put any opinion that's even remotely neutral on AI art being attacked for their stance. Take the recent videos by ErgoJosh, where he initially tried to explore AI art in a non-copyright infringing way and was met with a huge lashback.
So if you weren't aware already, last week I made a video where I asked you all if you wanted to see a review of how I used AI technology in a way in my work that I...
Oh yeah, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, we want to see it, and then he shows it and they're like, you're a horrible person, we're canceling you, and blah blah blah.
Believed was as ethical as possible, at least at the individual level. Now, almost all of you that responded not only rejected that idea completely, but you expressed your extreme distaste in AI. If you can imagine, it's not fun to see 100 people every day saying that they're disappointed in you when you felt they loved you and supported you. It's really tough.
Which just gives me huge reservations when even the most concerned and ethical artists that I might think of approach it in that way and are attacked because of it. And finally, this video is just sat unreleased and unworked on because I know that once I open this can of worms and start talking about where my stance is on AI art, there's no going back. But I also think there's no other way forward.
Yeah,
the
but
problem is in doing
no, it was way better for him to just flat out state his opinion on it and his stance, because otherwise what are you going to do? You're going to hide it? You're going to try and hide it, then you're going to be stressed because what if people find out and feel ashamed? And no, just you state your opinion. It is what it is. If people don't like it, well, they can go somewhere else. Like, honestly.
Doing this, I feel like I'm committing to delivering something later down the line, and I also actually can't fully commit to that. For example, if this video doesn't perform well, YouTube and its algorithm is teaching me I can't invest the time and resources I would need to make this bigger AI video I would like to explore, because at the moment, YouTube is just a bit of a fight for survival, and I've got to keep the business running. But I believe it's really important to see if we can start having this conversation. I also need an opportunity to say pretty clearly that there are parts of both of those arguments at the start of the video that I agree with and disagree with. So allow me a couple of minutes to share with you the grey of where I'm at with AI and AI art. First and foremost, I believe AI art is not a craft, no matter how anyone might attempt to think about it or justify it. You can no more call yourself an artist if the work you're producing is built on the foundation of artificial intelligence than you could call yourself an artist of the skill level of someone whose work you are tracing. It is simply not your work or skill being used. However, I also think AI and AI art is really interesting and exciting, and I feel like I'm not allowed to think that. I believe the villains are not people who use AI art, but the companies and capitalist system that seeks to benefit off of the work of others without consent or transparency. And I
Coca-Cola.
I believe there is something deeply dystopian about AI imagery and videos, and that we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg yet as to the destructive possibilities of these technologies. I believe that AI in the hands of manipulative or opportunistic people can be really damaging to the art community and artists as a whole. But I also believe limiting the conversation to AI art is reductive and kind of misses the point, because the bigger picture of what's happening with AI and the possibilities there are all encompassing and hugely monumental. And in that vein, I do believe that AI, more than anything, has the potential to propel humanity into a post-scarcity environment, to perhaps even work past a capitalist system, to tackle things like climate change and diseases in an unprecedented way. But of course, to do that, we can't really trust that that would be done in the hands of a capitalist system. But if there's a way that we can work towards utopia over dystopia, I do think that AI can propel us into a future of positive possibilities not even yet imagined.
Yeah.
So in short, I am firmly on the fence and feel like it's hard to even know where to begin in opening up a discussion with everyone, especially because of how heated things get very quickly.
Yeah, people just instantly start raging and fudge AI this and fudge that and blah blah blah, it should be shut down, should never be used. I hate it.
How regretful people become for even opening the subject. AI will continue to be developed and to be misused, whether you use it or not, or convince or attack anyone who does or not. And not engaging with it or writing it off outright simply allows that to continue unchecked and further divides our own communities. I get it. This is uncomfortable. All of this is uncomfortable. The world at the moment is extremely uncomfortable, and it's so much easier to dwell firmly in the black or white, especially because they're the spaces in which voices are loudest and it's easiest to gravitate towards. But that's also part of some of the biggest problems we're dealing with today, is this division and extremification of two sides of an argument, when really it's so great. I really want to investigate AI and AI art in one big think piece where I could take the time to interview artists and people already devastated by the effects of AI and its proliferation, but also interview people who are developing the AI directly and hear what they believe or what the direction of these things are and who's in control. Present meaningful facts and look at timelines and put it all together as best as I can. But that is all a massive commitment and a massive cost, and this channel is just trying to get by at the moment, honestly. So in large part, I will be determining whether that's something I could even look at doing based on how this video goes. That's kind of where I'm stuck, and that's where this conversation has to end, because there's nothing more I can do. But things are getting harder to navigate, and I would rather try and be a part of a positive solution and way to explore that than continue to say nothing. So please, speak in the comments down below. And I really mean that. Though I know every video says, hey, leave your comments, blah, blah, blah. But this really does depend on that. And I would love to see as many people who have an opinion on this or are undecided on this speak respectfully down below. I want to hear from people who are on the fence and why in both directions. And I want to see the arguments and the discussions rise to the surface that you believe in or think are valid by obviously upvoting them. And please downvote people who are just downright rude or disrespectful. I'm sorry for how meandering this video feels like it's become and how, I don't know, little I feel like I've said in the whole mix of things. But at the same time, I feel like one of the biggest problems and challenges is the grey. And that's what I wanted to try and attempt to tackle in this video, to see if there's more we should do or could do in the future on this channel. And whether I do or not, I sincerely don't know. But either way, things are going to develop and we're all going to be a part of it in one way or another. So I guess it's my way of saying that I am going to be committing to try and be a part of that in a productive way, in a way that listens to people while voicing my opinions in a respectful way. And I hope that you're willing to do the same. But I'm going to end this video with the same question that I started with. Can we talk about AI?
Can we?
Well, can we?
Can we talk about AI?
What
Can
the?
we talk about AI?
That as an artist, I spend my life training myself, and then these AI models train on me, so you can spend 5 seconds typing in ChatGPT and pretend cosplay that you're a hard-working artist. Where's my paycheck? I work my ass off, and you just get to type a sentence and profit from artists like me. Where?
I love that. That's exactly what you get hit with. Yep. Honestly, I'm with him. 100%. 100%. I have the exact same thoughts on it as he does. I am definitely in the gray area. I understand both sides of it. So, yeah. I just want to see some of the comments. One of the worst things about it is when people assume that your hard work was AI generated when none was used, and that will only get worse with time. Yeah, see, I can understand that too. You know, you make a beautiful art piece, and then people sit there in the comments trying to pick it apart, being like, oh, this looks like it was AI generated, and oh, this maybe was also AI generated. How come it looks like this? Blah, 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 blah. And you're sitting there like, bro, I spent like 20 hours on this thing. I didn't use any AI. But, you know, unfortunately, what can you do about that? You can't do a whole lot about that. That kind of comes with the internet. Had a few instances of music parodies and voice impressions I've done where people confidently claim this was AI generated. With AI available, some people's mindsets seem entirely fixed on making money, and they can't imagine that other people would create art for the craft of it. Hello, Tabs! Welcome in! My biggest issue with AI is lack of transparency. Yeah. Yep, that too. If anything is using AI, it should explicitly say so. For example, if every art piece that used AI has the legal obligation of labeling itself as such, it would allow both the artists and the art consumers to make their own choice. For example, if I search for a reference photo, give me the opportunity to exclude every AI-made piece. Yeah. There is a website, FreePix. So when you're searching on FreePix, they have that option, actually. You can exclude all AI-generated stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool. As someone who's into fashion and art, I use Pinterest a lot. It has become completely overrun with AI-generated images. Oh my god. Yeah, every time I open my Pinterest, it's just full of AI-generated stuff. Now, that's all I see. Yep. How well has this video done? Posted 1 month ago, And it has 224,000 views and 21,000 likes. So yeah.